Good morning.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Saturday morning, snow included.
Did you wake up to surprise snow?
What in the sand?
'Cause we did.
Goodness gracious.
We did surprise snow.
Right.
No one predicted it. Then I heard I barely walked through, one of the weather people was saying, so what happened? Well, let me tell you. And I was
It
like,
snowed.
oh, now you're going to apologize for being wrong? You're always wrong. Anyway.
Yeah.
So in Waterloo, we had like 6 inches.
Easily
6 inches.
I've had some people say they measured at 7.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It was, oh wait, also it was 85 yesterday.
No.
The day before? Day before.
Yesterday we got to 40-ish, 50-ish. Yeah, it's...
Love the Midwest.
Love it.
Okay.
Don't like the weather? Wait 5 minutes. Oh, it'll change.
Oh, I'm sure that by this afternoon, most of the snow will be gone, even though we had 7 inches. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, okay, let's move on to something else.
More fun. This is Warm N Cozy Quilting. I am Jason.
I'm Danielle.
That's Danielle. We are here to talk quilting stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do on Saturday morning. So drink your coffee. Stay warm. Yes, Patty, you mentioned it properly. This is a good reason to postpone the shoveling of the driveways.
Yeah, just
Go ahead,
wait.
drink your coffee. We got an hour of time for you.
Just wait.
And by time
hang out with us.
That hour's over, it may be warm enough and most of it's going to be gone anyway. So whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, we had a lot of people say hi to us.
Nice.
We could say hi to some people here real quick. We've got Deborah, who's excited for 5 o'clock today.
Yes.
Again, 5 p.m. Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
We're having our live quilt auction. That means we
Right.
have samples. I've got 20 of them that I posted pictures of yesterday. I've got starting bids on them. I've got buyout numbers. That means if you see that one pop up and you're like, I want that, I don't want to deal with the bid process, give it to me, buy it now, then you'll be able to say that, and then we'll just, you won it. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But that's at 5 o'clock today, so make sure you come back.
Set an alarm.
It'll
Let
be
your
fun.
friends know. Tell them, go follow Warm N Cozy so that you get the notification. Yeah.
5 p.m.
Right.
Be here. I won't wait for you.
Oh.
I gotta get home. Anyway. Hello, Jackie, and good morning, Wendy. Hello, Christine and Donna. Hello, Debbie.
Good morning, good morning.
Sandy loved the snow. I don't care for snow. I like to look at it.
I was so confused. Would be a good word.
Confused is a good word. Good word.
And then I sat and watched it.
Right.
Because it was 4 in the morning.
Patty, and good morning, Joanne. And Jackie is almost at 3 inches of snow. Well, you're getting there.
Yeah.
Hello, Karen. Anyone going out to the airport? No snow out there. Yeah, I heard that just north of like 7 there's not much of anything, if anything at all. So.
Oh, I even saw in Fenton, no snow.
Nothing.
Not 1 inch.
Weird.
Not one flake.
Unbelievable.
Right.
We got lucky. It's the Mississippi River effect.
Right.
I just made that up. Good morning, Joyce. Hello, Bonnie. And she just got a dusting at Glen Carbon. So, yeah, not everybody got it this morning. 5 inches in Valmeyer. And good morning, Joe.
Also, we have a class of 8 people today. A full class. Started at 9 a.m.
All here.
And I'm like,
no big
oh,
deal.
man, we're going to go in and everybody's canceled and whatever. Everybody's here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time.
Yeah, roads aren't bad out there.
The roads aren't bad.
Take your time.
And it's Saturday. Like, if it was Tuesday and people were freaking out to get to work.
Don't do it on the business days.
Then, it'd be a little bit different.
For sure.
I mean, we still have to get to work.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
But
that's what we
anyway.
do. So if you're going to come in today, you should be fine. Parking lot's in good shape. Just, take your time getting out. Don't get them rushed.
Right. No running.
Don't run.
We were driving here, and we pull out onto the street, and there's three guys running, like,
out for their morning
exercising,
run this day.
out for their morning jog, one in shorts. I'm like, what is wrong with these people?
He didn't get the news alert, didn't look outside, just went.
Just went, I guess. I was like, I don't understand how you're running anyway.
Right.
If that's what you do, then you do you. And I'm not going to stop you.
Doing it.
Yes.
For sure. Other things besides the live auction, that's the important part. Don't forget, we're still doing the demo day. So if you want to come in and test drive a machine, let me know. I'll set it up for you.
Yeah.
I got great pricing on my floor models. If you need a long arm, now's a good time to do it.
It's always good to get a floor model. First of all, you can get something for a little bit less,
A lot
right?
less than what you would pay
A
full
lesser price.
Mm-hmm.
You buying a floor model from us is not the same as buying a used machine in someone's basement. You do not know how it has been taken care of.
Right.
We are service. Here's the service tech, right? So we take care of our machines, and you know that we always service them before a floor model would go to your house.
Absolutely.
We're also going to still set it up for you if you buy a machine from third party.
You're on your own.
Yeah, so you don't have that support of somebody setting it up correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine this big giant 12-foot frame that has about 1 million pieces? Okay, it's not even close to a million. It's not even close to 1 million. But
Barely
there's a
under
lot of
100.
pieces, and I just don't puzzle well.
You don't. That's why we don't keep puzzles in the house.
Right.
Because it wouldn't end well.
And you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to learn how to set up a machine.
Yeah, she's going to learn. It's going to be a good time.
It's gonna be a good
promise. Oh, man. Oh, April says, good morning. It's starting to snow there in Northwest Ohio.
Oh.
Woo. Good luck.
Yeah.
Have fun with that.
I hope it, well, depending on if you like it or not. I mean, I hope it kind of dissipates a little bit before it doesn't dump on you.
Right. Absolutely. All right. I think that's the majority of the important things to get out of the way.
Okay.
We were just talking handy quilters, but don't forget, if you need a Janome, if you need a domestic, you need a new sewing machine.
Yeah.
Christmas deals going on right now. Good time to come in.
Remember what we were going to do?
Nope.
We were going to bring that holiday magazine.
I didn't bring it in.
We didn't bring it in.
But we got a magazine. And look at the pricing. Special bonus kits that you can get when you buy a machine.
You can circle it and leave it for your loved ones.
To come get you a present.
To come buy you a present.
It'll be fun, I promise. Anyway, make sure you do that if you need a machine. Anyway, you ready to dive into this? I'm just concerned. There's a lot of information.
He is. He's so concerned, and I'm going slowly. La la
With
la
the
la la.
thread.
And he's like, "There's so much to talk about."
So when it comes to thread, there's a lot of different components. There's going to be topics that we could branch off into that we're not going to because otherwise we're going down rabbit holes for days.
Hours and hours.
So
do
we're
you
not
want to be
gonna
here
do
for
that.
hours and hours? Probably not.
Well, maybe. I mean, if you're trying to dodge shoveling this driveway like Patty,
Exactly.
maybe. I mean, marathon.
Right.
No, not doing that. All right. So, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Through this. Are you
Let's do
ready?
it.
Okay, let's do this. All right,
I'm
here we
drink some
go.
more coffee.
Deep breath. Everybody relax. Drink your coffee. Here we go. All right. So, today we're talking about thread. It was brought to my attention that there is an individual that I'm aware of that likes to use the word string as opposed to thread.
Oh.
Now, what's the difference?
What is string
and
thread?
Okay. So,
I mean, because isn't this string?
let me elaborate.
Okay.
Please. Thread is long, thin, flexible form of material. String is thread twisted together. So
this is twisted together.
that is twisted together. So
Could be
technically,
string?
you could call it string. However, due to the thin nature of it, most people refer to it, and it's appropriate to go with calling it thread.
Thread, yes. Generally, string is more bulky material. It's several pieces wound up, and that's going to be a little bit more bulky.
So again, while not necessarily wrong, it's better to go with the appropriate, because string has more of a bulkier nature. Pardon me. Again.
That's it.
I don't know why I want to cough. I don't know. I just suddenly got run in here and attacked me. Anyway, so we sew with thread, not with string. We're not heathens around here.
Right.
String can be used, however, by quilters if you're going to tie a quilt together.
Oh, yeah.
So there is string in the quilt.
There's also embroidery floss.
Which
now
is
we've got another term.
I'm sure that just has to do with the thickness of the thread and such and the whatnot.
Exactly.
And all the things. So, yeah, call it what you will. The goal is that it holds stuff together.
Right.
And just go with it. Good?
Yes. Good.
Good.
Okay, are we done?
Nope, that's it. Okay. It was a good time, guys. Thanks. We'll see you at 5 o'clock.
No,
Please.
wrong.
No. Oh, not done yet. Sorry. Yeah, I got pages and pages of stuff here. Good Lord.
Thread,
All right.
thread.
So, types of thread. There's a lot of different types of thread. But I'm going to commentary for a brief moment. I apologize, but I don't because I'm not sorry. I'm going to say this. When it comes to your thread choice, thread is the cheapest thing that goes into the construction of your quilt. Okay? yes, I understand. This Kona thread costs $16, and this little spool guy here costs $15. Well, here's the deal. What is this, like 1,200 yards?
And this has 6,000 yards.
It's got 6,000 yards. You're not going to use this entire piece or
for one
cone
quilt.
for one quilt. You're going to need to get a couple quilts out of this.
Right.
So per yard, you're at fractions of a penny for this and for that. High quality thread is going to last your quilt longer. It's going to do better for the life of your quilt or your project, whatever you're putting together.
Also works better in your machine.
Works
If you
better in your
have
machine.
you know, sometimes a less expensive thread, you're getting breaks. It's winding up on you weird. It's doing things. And then that just causes tension and issue. You know,
And anger and hostility, all things we don't need to include in the quilting sewing room.
Don't want any of that.
Leave it out. Don't do that.
Right.
So yeah,
That's for the kitchen.
if you run to your, it's for the kitchen where you're around knives and burny things. I guess you're that same in the sewing room as well.
Knives.
Anyway,
Iron.
so if you're going to go, to a big box store and you're going to grab a Kona thread that's super cheap because, man, I don't want to spend that kind of money, and you have issues and problems with that, or your projects you find don't last together a long time, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Quality of product is very important. Spend the money for the good thread so that your stuff doesn't fall apart, so that will last generations to come. Because really,
yeah, why are we doing
this?
Right?
Why would I
are
do
we
this
doing
otherwise?
We don't want it to last,
I want it to be here forever.
Right.
All right, so do the right thing.
Right.
Buy good thread.
So what is good thread? How do I know? This, thing that I saw was $4.99. Is that good? Is it because it's cheap then it's not good?
Maybe. I mean, that's the judgment I use. I mean, if it costs a little bit more, that means it probably went through more processes in treating that thread so that it's, an appropriate cotton, like your cotton threads. Where's my cotton?
We didn't bring Maxi Lock back here.
I didn't.
So
I asked her to bring me one.
So Maxi Lock is an all-purpose thread, and it is less expensive. Usually you're using it on a serger, where you're using 3 cones or 4 cones, depending on the project you're working on. So you're not just using 1 layer of thread or 2 layers of thread. You're using multiple layers of thread. And so even though it is a little bit less expensive and it, is a little bit cheaper made, it's going to last well because you're using it in multiple layers. You can absolutely piece with Maxi Lock.
Sure can.
It's not the best thread. I mean, but this is just things that I know because I've read more. Like, I love Superior brands. We sell Superior brand Omni and Omni V and So Fine and the So Sassy, which is a 12 weight we're going to talk about. And those are all a good family of threads.
Right.
And they're all high quality.
And there are other large name lines of thread out there that you absolutely can go with and trust.
Oh, sure.
Just know that there are some that if they're sold as cheap as possible, then I would pause on that. Because there are some cotton threads that exist out there that use a short staple cotton to make their threads, which means that it's a little bit shorter. It's not as durable. Whereas if your Aurifil uses a long staple cotton, which means that thread is going to be more durable.
Right. You can pull on it and it's not going to break.
Exactly. Even though it's cotton and you would expect it to be lintier because of that long staple, because of the way they process it, it's not near as linty as other cotton threads. And
right.
It's going to last longer because it's a better quality product that they've started with. So therefore you're ending with a better quality product.
Yeah.
So which costs a little bit more.
Yes.
But it's worth the money. I promise. Please do it.
Yeah.
Don't be cheap. I also tell that to people when we check our bobbin tensions and I pull thread out of the bobbin for the long arms.
And they're like, oh my gosh.
Yards of thread.
Well, all that thread you're wasting.
My frugal quilters get a little panicked.
Yeah.
And if you're frugal, I know I'm wrong. I shouldn't waste thread, but I'm going to. So I can't change that.
It makes it more consistent with our tension if we start with a full bobbin. Rather than a partial bobbin. So, the thing is, time is money. So if I'm using that partial bobbin and now I've stitched and it looks fine, because on the top it looks fine, and I roll the quilt and the tension was bad because I had slack in the bobbin. Now I've got a section I have to rip out and requilt. Like, this is time. I don't want to, that's all money,
I would
right?
spend all that.
So I would rather waste the few cents on pulling off this thread and getting a new full bobbin than worry about the tension issues.
Again, personal preference. If you want to keep it and save it, totally cool. We don't. That's what I do.
Yeah, you can absolutely pull it off and take it home and use it to bind, hand bind your quilt with.
You can. I mean, there are other purposes you could use it for.
Sure.
Especially coming off.
I just think it's going to be wound up and I'm going to be aggravated, which equals time. Also, aggravation is like, don't even, right? So
don't make me angry. All right. So lots of different types of thread, brands, all that stuff. But there are two basic principles to it. There's your polyester thread and then there's your cotton threads. We'll talk about those a little bit more in depth here in a second. But in those branches, there are weights of thread.
Right.
So this section is going to be a little bit more than I was expecting. Oh, hello, look, there they are. So what you see on your screen right now is a breakdown of different weights of thread. Starting from the left, you got your 30 weight thread. So the smaller the number, the thicker the thread. And as you work your way to the right, you got your 40 weight threads, your 50 weight thread, and then your 100 weight thread. Right. I felt this was the best way to kind of show the size of the threads.
And I do think that it's a little bit deceiving. The 50 to the 100, they look very similar. The 100 weight thread, if you are in person and you can touch it, I mean, it does look a little bit thinner. I mean,
yeah. So what I was going to use to show for reference, so that was that picture. This is the piece of paper that I wrote those numbers on. You can see those numbers right there. So
can you? Because I can't.
Yeah, it's kind of washed out, but at the same time, it's super small.
Tiny.
So it's hard. It's
to give you scale on camera is a little tricky.
That's what we're looking at when we say the thread weights. They're not super huge, but there's enough difference that when you make your stitches, it's going to make a difference. Now, what do those thread weights mean? Where does 40 weight come from? What the heck?
What is this measurement?
Well, there's a couple different scales that people use for
Right, because we've seen weight. We've also seen text.
Right, there's a couple different styles that different manufacturers use. So weight and text are normal ones that we see a lot of. Denier is one that they use, DENIER. There's some that use number system. So it'll say NO, period, and then whatever number. So be it 25, 30, 47,
and they just randomly give it a number. I'm sure that correlates with something.
I didn't dive into what makes these numbers work for these other styles. I really went into weight because that's what we see more of these days. It's become more uniform. Composition standard is one that's still pretty common out there. I've seen that more than a few times where they'll have a number /2 or 3. The 2 or 3 denotes how many threads are twisted together to make that thread. So
nice.
2-ply or 3-ply thread. So the smaller you go, that's most likely a 2-ply. Your bigger you go is most likely going to be a 3-ply, which means it's 3 threads making one. But you should know that the different names are not interchangeable. So 40 weight is not the same as text 40.
Right.
It's not the same as the number 40.
Exactly.
All these things are different. Basically, if you're using something with a different scale that you're used to using, it's going to come down to your sense of touch and understanding what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Superior brand has on their website charts and things. So like if you are used to using something that is text and now you get Omni and it's weight, you can go to their website. So I'm sure other brands also have similar things where you can go and kind of find a chart or the internet, just Google, right?
Google works well. And again, a lot of them have a conversion, if not on the label, sometimes on the advertising.
Oh, sure.
Lock that we have on the floor has the text number, but also says equivalent to what weight number.
What weight it would be, yeah.
So some threads have that on there already. Just be aware. Just kind of look at that. So how do we get to 40 weight? What does 40 weight mean? This is a fun little thing I had to run through last night. You ready for this? Math. I know you guys love it. They do love math.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. All right. So again, typically the larger the number, the lighter the thread. So the closer to 0 we get, the fatter it gets. The farther away from 0, the thinner it gets. So 100 weight thread, which you guys saw the image of, is super skinny, super small, versus 40 weight thread, which is a little bit thicker, but it's not the fattest one you can get. So
we even have 12 weight thread.
right,
12 weight fat.
it's fat.
Mhm.
It's fat. 40 weight equals 40 kilometers with 1 kilogram of material. So if I had a kilogram of thread, 1 kilogram, and I could get 40 kilometers,
When you stretch it
when I
out.
stretch it out,
Mm-hmm.
that's 40 weight. Okay? Let me Americanize that for you a little
Please,
bit.
because I don't understand.
So if I were to have a spool of thread that
Mhm.
weighed 2.2 pounds,
Okay.
I could make that thread stretch 24.85 miles.
Oh.
Okay? So
okay. Well, that does make more sense to
it
me.
makes a little more sense. I can
24?
Americanize it even a little more
Okay.
since we absolutely refuse to ever use the metric system here.
Right. We find anything
So
and everything. Like
everything is
we should use the ravioli to measure the snow today.
just
Okay.
wrong.
Right.
Wrong. So if you measure using Freedom Eagles to barbecue pits, here we go.
Right.
So for the distance, it's almost a marathon. So 26.2 miles. So
Right.
the distance
Almost a
is that
marathon.
much. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I don't run that much. I don't
No.
run, but it's that much. And the weight, so 2.2 pounds, this is some things that weigh 2.2 pounds.
Okay.
A pineapple weighs 2.2 pounds.
Mm.
So if you got a pineapple, that much thread, 2.2 pounds. A Phoenix fox, super cute and adorable, weighs about 2.2 pounds.
Yeah.
A bag of rice, I don't have an image of that. A black-footed ferret.
Black-footed ferret. Oh.
Little black-footed ferret, about 2.2 pounds.
So
or
that equals a marathon worth of
thread, yes.
thread. Okay.
Or a half rack of baby back ribs.
Oh,
Now that's
I
some full
understand
ribs,
that.
but dear Jesus, can I have some of that now?
Right. That's full. That's
Making this image last night, I was like, wow, this isn't fair to me. But if we take one of those halves, if that was all thread, you could reach almost a marathon's worth.
Great. Now I understand. Because the kilometers equals kilograms. I don't know.
Right. I know, guys. It's a lot sometimes. But that's what 40 weight thread will get you. Now, if you have...
So do you have images for every different weight?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Now, the 2.2 pound, the 1 kilogram, it's 2 pounds.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much take any of those. And so if you had a Phoenix Fox worth of 100 weight thread,
Mhm.
that means you could get 100 kilometers, which is roughly 62 miles.
Okay.
Which 62 miles from here is almost Rolla, almost Columbia, Missouri. Actually, just on the other side of Warrenton.
If you go as the crow
Straight
flies.
line. Like if you drove in a straight line,
like
you have almost an hour of driving. I'm Americanizing it right
I can't
now.
get to my dad's house in an hour.
Not
from
in a
here.
straight line.
Mhm.
If we could run in a straight line, though,
Right.
then you would have this long piece of thread that you're hoping sticks together.
And
for that
also,
long.
as long as the creek don't rise.
As long as the creek don't rise, we're fine. Now,
Fine.
the snow, I don't know.
Yeah.
That may have its own impact
Right.
on the process.
That's true.
Sorry, that was a lot. But it was fun.
Yeah.
Did say you wanted to Americanize it. You guys went all the way there.
We went
I
all the
fully
way.
went
All the way.
If that doesn't scale it for you, I don't even know what else to offer.
Yeah.
Barbecue flavored confusion. That's the best I can do for you. The other thing that I had in here that listed at 2.2 pounds was a mountain beaver.
I don't know what that
I didn't
is.
know what it was either. I Googled it. The images were weird. It
Yeah.
almost looked like an extinct animal. And then I had pictures of mountains
Oh,
in
right.
Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
I was like, that's not even the same.
Okay.
So I just said, nah, I've got to deal with it. So that's that. All right. Now,
Got it.
I do have a little bit of information on the text number because we see text a lot. It's not going to be near as
I
in
really
depth.
want to talk about cool things,
We
like
will.
what they look like
I will. Hold on,
and
though.
how it works. Okay.
So, because I got some number fans out there. I want them to
Okay.
be
All right.
numberized.
If you're
So-
bored like me, just give it a minute. Just kidding.
So for every 1,000 meters,
Yes.
it weighs 25 grams.
Oh.
So if you have 1,000 meters of thread, based on its weight, gets you your text number.
I'm confused.
Doesn't matter. Just
So
don't.
confused.
Just don't. Basically, what it works out to is if you see a 25, a text 25,
Yeah.
that's fairly close to a 40 weight thread.
I do also feel like whatever you learned to begin with is how you go,
Yes.
right? So I know weight. So when, just like we know pounds,
Right.
right? So when someone tells me kilograms, I'm like, no, I need it
don't
converted.
understand that.
Same for me with thread. If it says text, I'm like, I need, what is the weight?
Right. And I
Just-
really
just,
think
you know.
Sandy got this whole story out of it with just barbecue.
Barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, really,
Yeah,
that was the whole gist of
Like-
that.
Can we have some barbecue while it's snowing?
But I've always wondered what this weight was, though. I've always
Mhm.
didn't understand where these numbers come from, to what end, what's the point of it. That's what they're all about. So,
Mhm.
Danielle or April says she says what you say is good. So,
Perfect.
yes,
Good idea.
Stick with whatever somebody says.
So,
that way.
I don't know if you have the answer to this, but so 100 weight
Yes,
is
ma'am.
very thin.
It is.
Does that mean that it is more breakable, more delicate, more so why would I want to use that then? I don't want something that could break.
I mean, it depends on the project you're using, and that's like picking any thread. It depends on what your end result is going to be. If it's going to be hanging on a wall and not being laundered all the time, and you really don't want that thread to show up, then a thinner thread is going to hide better for you.
So we use micro quilter 100 weight thread
Mm-hmm.
when we do stitch in the ditch work
Okay.
because we don't want that. First of all, sometimes I'm just close to the ditch.
Mhm.
Okay. So I don't want that to show.
Right.
So I might go through and do all the stitch in the ditch work and then come back and start quilting different things in different places. And so it's going to have more than just the 100 weight thread. But even if I was just going to stitch in the ditch, I do like 100 weight for that.
Right. It just does a really good job of hiding.
It hides.
Stays out of the way.
If it's near the ditch, it still is, close
Right.
enough, as they say.
Diane was just in Beaver County, Pennsylvania last week.
Oh,
That's where all the
okay.
pictures were from. It was weird. I'm like, I thought about showing the mountain, but there was no point to it, so I didn't. All right.
Okay.
So let's break it down to what
Yes.
we do with our threads. Let's talk piecing.
Okay.
What do you suggest
This.
to do while piecing materials together, and why would I use whichever weight thread?
Okay. And I have to say that one thing we do not have and did not bring up at all is 60 weight thread.
Oh, yes. I didn't bring
So
it
there,
in here.
of course, there's probably things between 12 and 40.
And
you know,
100. And,
right.
Yeah.
So,
There's all kinds of weights out there.
But generally, there's a lot of 60 weight threads out there that are great for bobbin. Like you'll see
Mhm.
bottom line is a 60 weight thread. And the pre-wound bobbins are 60 weight. You can get a lot more on there because it's a thinner thread. And everybody hates to change their bobbin.
I mean, the more thread on the bobbin, the better, until they come up with the unlimited bobbin
Right.
or the endless bobbin.
Right.
Someday.
Right. But so when I'm piecing, I do like 50 weight thread. I do like Aurifil cotton thread.
Mm-hmm.
It lays nicely in the seams. When you go to measure your 1/4 inch seam, if you are just measuring from the seam to the edge, you're not truly finding out how big your seam is. You really need to open it up and measure that this is accurate to what it's supposed to be to make sure that my seam allowance isn't too big.
Right.
Because that thread is taking up some room.
It is. Absolutely.
It is not taking up that much room, but it is taking up some room. And the weight of your fabric, what I'm trying to say here, but if you're using flannel
Mhm.
versus batiks, the different types of fabric can also play a part. So even though you have your 1/4 inch marked on your machine and that's where it is, if you start using a different type of fabric or a different type of thread, you really need to do a sample piece, open it up, measure that it is accurate, and then adjust. Move your
Right.
needle, move whatever you need to. So I do like 50 weight thread for piecing. 60 weight in the bobbin if you like that kind of
Right.
product. But I'm generally a person who likes to match top and bottom. So
And I
even
think,
when I'm on the inside, I don't know.
I think to go along with what you're saying there is, on this small scale, I've used a 50 weight thread, and it's a 60 weight in the bobbin when that was seamed together. So that's going to be fairly close to a 1/4 inch. On a small piece like this, you're
Mhm.
never going to know the difference.
Right.
But those couple little pieces of threads here and there across
So,
a large
okay,
quilt.
here we go. Let's talk about this.
Oh, Lord.
So
What are we
this
talking
is going to be a 6-inch block. You see all those pieces that are going to go into this?
Yes.
This is actually a 10 by 10 board. And
you got to explode it. It ain't pieced together yet.
right, it's not pieced. But if my 1/4 inch is off, or if I'm using a 40 weight thread versus a 50 weight thread, I know that's not much difference, but it can make a difference on when you go to piece this together. This block has to end up being 6.5 inches before I put it into my quilt.
Actually, that's a really good visual to go from that 9 inches of open area is going to come down to 6.5.
Right.
Once you piece that together.
Right.
And if you've got fatter thread in there,
yes,
that can adjust the way that comes together.
Because have this happen where
Yes.
you get it done and then you go, well, this isn't a full 6.5.
I'm still missing like a 1/4 of an inch. Or an eighth of
What
an
the
inch.
heck do I do? This pattern's wrong. Something's wrong with my machine.
My machine's
we
wrong.
blame everybody else, right? I
Right.
mean, but then if you start looking, it very well could be that your 1/4 inch seam is a little bit fat. Well, I follow the 1/4 inch foot.
Right.
Sometimes that's lying to you because we have to take into account all the factors. Are you pushing up against that,
Right.
blade rather than sitting near it, which is what they want you to do? And nobody told you that,
Nobody
I
tells
mean,
me that.
there's
I
a
hate
blade, I
hearing that.
just follow it, right? And also, what thread are you using? So I do like the Orfill 50 weight thread because it is a nice, lays in there well.
Right. Doesn't take up a whole lot of extra space.
Right.
So
Because a few
What I-
threads makes a difference in an overall quilt.
would I want a piece with a 100 weight thread? That seems like a little overkill, but I'm asking the question to ask the question.
Yeah, I
Probably
don't.
not.
I don't know why. I don't
Oh,
know.
you know who could or why you would? If you're doing one of those little tiny quilts.
Oh,
Have you
miniatures.
seen those?
Oh my
Holy
gosh.
cow. If you do
So,
that, you've got a skill I'll
listen.
never have.
We went to the quilt museum
Mhm.
and there was all these little miniature quilts, and I mean, teeny tiny.
Like-
And I took pictures. Why didn't I put my thumb or a 1/4 or something? Because I'm like, now you look at it and it looks like a quilt.
Full scale quilt.
Well, that was anyway. But I don't even know. Yes, you would use a 100 weight
that-
thread in that
yeah.
because there's no way you're not 1/4 inch and nothing. You're probably I don't know. I don't know.
The magic of that one's unreal to me, but
Yeah.
yeah. What's the board made of? Love and magic. That's what the board is made of.
No,
Deborah.
it's
1/4 inch foam board.
yeah, it's 3/16. But
Sorry,
anyway,
3/16.
3/16 foam board and then batting.
80/20.
80/20. You want the fuzzy side. You want to make sure that whatever batting you have has a little bit of texture to it where it's going to hold on because, did I show you?
What?
These don't come off.
Oh, you didn't do that. No, that was a pretty cool trick too.
Yeah, I've got more. Look.
Let's not sidetrack too hard.
Okay, fine. Put these away.
Stay on track. Stay on track. All right. So that's 40 weight to piece. The other
No,
conversation.
50 weight to
50
piece.
weight to piece.
Right.
The other part of that conversation for piecing is cotton or poly to piece. Does it matter? The answer is
No.
no.
Right.
Okay.
I generally use Orfill, which is a cotton thread, but for a long time I've used poly thread, and also what we quilt with is poly thread. All the time we quilt with Omni, that's poly thread, that's a 40 weight. And I like the Orfill because of the color choices I get, that there's a lot of thread. I don't know how they wind it on there and get so much thread on there, but they do. It is a nice, it doesn't lint as much as other cotton threads. If you're a purist and you want everything to be cotton, then that's the way to go.
Totally fine.
You don't have to. You can absolutely have cotton fabric and polyester thread. We do it all the time.
Yeah,
Your
there's an
shirts,
old-
like your cotton t-shirt
Right.
has poly thread.
The old wives' tale is that, and I shouldn't say it, that sounds condescending. Now that I hear that
Yeah,
term.
okay.
The old tale that folks tell, let's go that way,
Sure.
is that the polyester thread aggressively attacks your cotton fabric and destroys it. That might be a little exaggerated.
That is
but
a
that's
little
the gist.
exaggerated. I
The-
think that there's a lot of...
The
Go ahead.
principle to it is that the polyester thread is not harming the cotton fabric.
Mm-mm.
It's that in the time that these statements were made, the fabrics were not the quality of fabric that we work with now.
Right.
So they would deteriorate faster than the polyester thread, which is, a poly ethylene material, which
Mhm.
is going to stay for pretty much ever.
Right.
So it's not going anywhere, but the fabric's deteriorating. So clearly it's the thread's fault.
No. Yeah.
That's no causation, correlation, two
Not the
different
same.
things.
Right. So, and so I just told you, we use Omni thread frequently, which
Yeah.
is a polyester thread, and we use that when we quilt. First of all, the reason that I like it is that it looks like cotton,
Right.
in that it doesn't have a sheen to it.
It's matte
So
color, yeah.
since I started quilting, I was the quilter, and so I wanted my quilting to sit in the back, right?
Yes.
I have all of my friends bringing me these quilts that they want me to quilt. They have done these beautiful, piecing jobs, and I don't want to take away from that.
Right.
So I would use a thread that would sit in the back. So I didn't want something that was shiny or a little loud. We've moved a little bit from there. Like I tend to go, oh, but we could put this color on, and it would help. And because all I'm doing is enhancing their job. I don't want to take over. Look at me, I
Right.
don't want that. So when I quilt my own quilts, I want it to be look at me.
Bold. Yes,
Yeah.
But that's
But so I do like the sheen, which is more of a matte finish.
Mhm.
It does tend to lint a little more than a
non-shiny, or that's a shiny one.
and this is called a trilobal polyester thread.
Mhm.
That this is Magnifico. I mean, you could probably see that it shines from there.
Mhm.
Shiny. And because of that, it's a little bit slick, which makes it, you just gotta play with your tension a little bit, get it right. Sometimes it's nice if you use a
Thread net.
yeah, or like something different in the bobbin so you don't have slick on slick and they don't want to play together well. But you can put that top and bottom. You don't want to overfill your bobbin.
Tons
I
of
could
tricks.
talk.
and
I
you're
could talk for an
diving.
hour and a half about that.
Stop chasing them.
So and also Omni only $16.99, and you get a ton of thread.
Right.
This is going to last for more than one quilt, and go a long way.
Right.
I also like for the same thing to be in the top and the bottom so that the colors match. And I've got a lot of thread on there. I know I'm going to be able to get everything I need for the top and for the bobbin.
Right. Now, back to the piecing conversation.
Yeah.
When we're talking about piecing, if you notice to the side and here in the front, we have cones holders
Right.
for your thread. So most
Mhm.
of you are familiar with spools of thread, these little guys that you can put on your little cone or holder that go on your
Mhm.
machine, so that way you have something to work with, or fills fit on there very nicely. But say you want to buy yourself a cone of 50 weight thread.
I'm going to use
so
gray
fine.
all day, every day. I
All the
love this
time.
stuff. I want a bigger cone.
You're not going to change very much for it. You absolutely can buy this to piece with this.
Mhm.
You simply take it and you put it on the cone holder, and then you run it to your machine.
You're just going to, it's going to be hard to see, right?
I don't know. I can see the machine there.
Well, oh,
I can see it quite
I
well.
have Sadie. She can show you.
Oh, thank you, Sadie.
Do you see how then you just set it to the side of your machine and you thread it as normal? And your machine runs just fine then. Thank you. There is a plastic one. There is a metal one, just depending on what you like. This is nice because you can take it apart. Once you put this together, it's pretty much together.
That's together. It's hard to travel with that.
So sometimes, yeah, then it gets bent. Also, none of that matters because it can be bent and it still works just fine.
Right. Just mount to hold your cone of thread so you can
And
direct
go
it
on up
at the
and
machine.
through. Yep.
So that way you can use this. That way you don't have to worry about your small spool of thread running out mid-project. So if you see I've got that much, yeah, you'll probably be just fine.
Mhm.
So you can use a cone of thread as opposed to a spool. Just depends on what color you need, how much of it you need. If you don't make stuff in coral ever, you probably don't want one of these to piece with.
A giant
This is a
spool
lot.
thread. Yeah.
So this is where you would probably go with a small spool to get the color you need for the project you're on,
Mhm.
and then off you go.
Also,
So-
why I like Orifil. You know, it's still larger than this. I mean, we've got a lot more thread on there than that.
Mhm.
But I'm not getting this much thread.
Right.
That is orange or something that I'm
Right.
not
Color
going
that
to use
you're
every
never
day.
going to use ever again.
Also, can you piece with 12 weight thread? Yes, but why the heck would you? All it's going to do is take up bulk in there. But you absolutely can do applique. If you want to do a fun decorative stitch and you want it to really stand out, get a fatter thread. And I would also then try a little sample on my machine to see how that's going to work. I'm also going to use 50 weight in the bobbin because I sure don't. This is not a lot of thread when you start looking at. I'm gonna, if you try to put it in the bobbin and on top, you're wasting the bobbin thread because you're not seeing that. So find something that matches or is comparable, and also then just make a really cool decorative stitch on your applique.
Right. And so just for comparison, just so you know, this little guy here is 100 yards. That's not a whole lot. 100. And this of So Fine, which is a 50 weight, 550 yards. Makes a difference.
Right.
Takes up space. But again, getting the right size thread for the project and what you're working on is very important. As far as quilting is concerned, you've discussed a lot of that, where we like to use matte colored threads on our top to finish. We like to match top and bottom. You can go your own way and do what you want there. You do not have to have the same weight thread top and bottom.
Right.
Whether you're piecing or quilting, that doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same. I've found that when I quilt, if I'm doing something for a customer and they want to do, say they want a bold color on the top and something calm on the back, the better option is to go with a 40 weight for the top and then a 60 weight or smaller for the bobbin, because it actually hides inside the thread better and it doesn't take up all that extra space.
Loop that's in the middle stays in the middle.
Right.
Not coming to the top, not going to the bottom.
That helps a whole lot keep things a little more corralled and clean looking appropriately. So, yes.
Let's talk about variegated thread real quick. Want to?
Yeah, let's talk about
variegated thread. Variegated thread, what does that mean? It changes color.
Right.
Right? So multiple colors within one cone. These are a lot of fun. They generally are 40 weight.
The ones from Omni V, which is, the variegated version of Omni's, they are 40 weight.
Because I know that there are some variegated threads that are 30 weight. They're thicker. You might want to be a little, just watch it.
Because some lines have both available. So King Tut is Superior Brand's variegated cotton thread. They do have a 40 weight, and those are very similar to this, but because of their finish, they have a slightly fatter feel.
Right.
But they're the same thing, but they don't feel that way. So
yeah. And so variegated thread, very fun. You have a batik quilt that's got all of this color, and you want to then use a variegated thread with all this color. It looks wonderful together.
Right.
You can use the same thing, top and bottom. What you tend to find, though, is that then you wind it onto the bobbin, and as it's coming up, it's not ever exactly the same. Like I don't have the purple and the purple. I might have the purple with the pink part of it. And so sometimes you might see a little bit of your thread from the bottom coming to the top or vice versa. Sometimes it's just because where the needle punched, you can kind of see in there and you can see the difference. So sometimes I feel like it's nice to, also variegated thread is a little more expensive. So it's nice to then put this is not going to go together.
Those are not the same,
but you put a 40 weight
complementary 40
color
to go with your
in the bobbin, and this on the top. You're not spending as much money, right? Because you're not putting your variegated on both. But I do like a variegated thread on the back too, because sometimes then you can use a solid back, and that variegated thread almost makes it like it's a whole other quilt.
Right. Exactly.
So.
So there was a question asked about eyelashing when two different weights are used. I'm going to address this here because what it comes down to is really across the board the same. It doesn't matter the machine you're using or the process you're using. You can technically use any thread you want. It takes two things, time and tension. You got to take the time to figure out that tension. A lot of the times with our domestics, we don't want to adjust those tensions. Sometimes we have machines that have automatic tensioners for us, so we just kind of let it go. We don't want to mess with that. But in the long arm world, for sure, I always adjust tension, always have to be manipulating it to get it to stay in the middle. So if you're using two different weight threads and they're contrasting colors, you are opening that possibility to really have to adjust your tension to make that stitch stay in the middle where it's supposed to be.
Right.
But
you can absolutely do that.
You sure can.
It's just if you know, I mean, it takes some time. You got to get it set right.
Right.
And I feel like we could do a whole hour-long episode on
And
tension.
Tension is a whole conversation. Absolutely.
When you're talking about eyelashing, and then it always goes into the conversation. Well, I'm seeing that on the back, so what do I need to adjust and things like that. So that is a whole great topic. Because even on our domestics, we should just adjust the tension when needed.
When needed. Not all the time. Don't get in there and fiddle with it all the time.
And you don't, sometimes I feel like we're so over concerned about it and you don't need to be. And other times I think, yeah, you really could have been a little more concerned and adjusted, you know?
Absolutely.
So
if you weren't supposed to touch it, it wouldn't be a feature that you can access.
Right. You know how you can't get on the inside of the guts of the machine?
As a repair tech, I know there are things inside that machine that you better not ever touch. Because if you do, or I do, I'm going to ruin the machine. So they have it securely tucked away from the general public.
Exactly.
Because if you're like me and you like to take things apart and poke at things, and if it does this, why does it do
how
that?
How come it's doing that?
I'm going to do this until I understand why it does it.
Right.
Then you're going to have less issue making the tension work for you because you're going to try. Don't be afraid to give a shot at it and just see where it goes. Just remember where you started. So if your tension's set at 4 or it's on a dial and you need to adjust that, make an adjustment. Test it on some sandwich first. If you like it, cool. But then remember to put it back where it was if you have to. Sure. But don't make 18 adjustments on 17 different things and then go, I don't know what I did.
Also, by the way, I tend to adjust significantly so that I can go, oh yeah, that was the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I think, oh, I need to tighten this up. So I way tighten it up. I'm at 3, I'm putting it to 5, you know, or whatever. I go significantly more and I test and I went, well, that's even worse. I was supposed to go the other direction. Or, oh, cool. I just over tightened a little. Let's come back a little, you know, so make a big adjustment. Sometimes I feel like we're just like, oh, I'll do a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. And then you're not seeing anything different. And so you don't really know if you're going the right way or not.
Right. So it's just a dance. Don't be afraid to give it a shot. Again,
if you don't dance well, it's okay.
And always, 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 always consult your user manual for your machine.
Sure, yeah.
Those manuals do have information in them about your tensioner, where it's at, how to use it, all these things. They didn't just give you the books because it's fun to have an extra piece of paper laying around the house. I always encourage you to look at that or contact your dealer, see if they have any suggestions, because really if you bought it from somebody that is reputable, they should be able to give you at least some information and direction on that as well.
Right.
At this point, I don't know what more I can talk about threads other than there's just so many threads, so many choices.
We didn't even talk about this guy.
Oh, I told you. See that? See that shiny happening there, that gold? That's a metallic thread. Super delicate. I would put it in line with like a 100-weight thread. It is not something that I would do like for a full quilt that's going to be given as utility to a gift for a kid. This is a decorative thing. You're going to make something pretty, just kind of embellish a little bit. But otherwise, you're not piecing with this.
Can you use this on a long arm?
Absolutely. There's methods for it.
Slow it down.
Slow it down. Adjust your tension.
Put it on a spool holder.
That's the other thing we didn't really talk about was the cross wind and the straight wind and the which goes on where and holy cow.
It's really, I can talk about it really fast.
Go ahead.
If it's cross wound and you see crosses like X's through your cone, it is better if it is sitting up because it's going to come off like this.
And straight up.
Which
is where the large cone holder comes into play.
Right. Versus if it is straight wound. Do I have any straight wound? Like this guy straight. This is going to work beautifully on your sideways spool on your machine because it's cross wound and it's going to come off this way nice and evenly. And it's not going to twist on you.
And I mean, these will do just fine as well.
They
even though they're cross wound.
And they don't. It
really?
Sometimes.
I guess it depends on the day and the moon and stars.
So my particular machine has a cone stand for it. So that's, works very well with mine.
Right.
Some of them that have sideways usually also have in your box of goodies a little stick that you can put on the edge where you can put a cone that is cross wound.
Right.
So because sometimes when they are crossbound, then your little like cap that goes on the end,
Mhm.
once it gets caught on there.
Right.
And so then sometimes you'll get a stitch that you don't like, you
Right.
know, or it'll break or something like that. So if you have trouble, try other things. You know, use a cone holder. See if it works.
Absolutely. So yeah, threads. Any questions on threads? Feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. If I don't know, I'll make it up. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, good deal. Aside from that,
Mhm.
I don't know much more about threads that I can give you that I want to dive in today. So don't forget Monday's flash sale.
Right?
It's on the website. It's noon to midnight, 9 to midnight. I
Mhm.
made up my own time just now.
Yeah. He
Wednesday.
does what he wants.
Wednesday we got live sale again.
Correct.
Back here on the Facebook.
Yep.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Just real quick, if anybody has questions about the 100 modern quilt block, this is also called City Sampler. We're going to make
sampler.
100 blocks
Mm-hmm.
over a 7-month period.
Mm-hmm.
Once a month, you're going to come to class and hang out with me and sew some blocks together.
Yes.
If you have questions, want to know more, we will gladly get you that information. I have lots of people already signed up. I was hoping that I could get a few to fill up a class, and I currently have 5 classes.
And we have a few spots in persons available.
Yes,
We
because
have
I opened that 5th class, and so I've got some room.
room left for that. So,
Mhm.
but we have virtual is plenty of space. So if you're not local,
Mm-hmm.
you can't make the class. There will be a Zoom component, so that way you can hang out with us via the Zoom.
Yep.
And go along with us all. So
Right,
it'll be a
and
good
then
time.
you can make these cute little blocks that look like this.
How cute that is! Oh my god, that's so cute.
Anyway,
But yeah, I don't think I got anything else.
Don't
You got
forget to
anything
come
else?
back at 5 o'clock tonight.
5 o'clock
p.m.
Central Time.
Here. Do it. Ready?
Tell your friends.
Do it. Ready, go. Set an alarm. All right. I'm good. I got no questions out there. So
All right.
you're good? You're good?
I think we're ready to
We're
get the store open.
Let's go do it.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.